Well, in other news tonight, although Representative Darrell Issa won the race for the 49th Congressional District, he is not letting go of some issues he has with his competitor, Doug Applegate. Issa is suing Applegate for libel, claiming 2 of Applegate's campaign ads damaged his reputation. He's seeking $10 million in damage, and he says he will donate any money awarded to charity. So the question is, what can actually be done with libel claims? Can a public official sue another one for claims made during a campaign?
Libel attorney John Alspaugh joins us now to talk about how it all works. This was a very contentious campaign between Applegate and Darrell Issa. The ads were pretty outrageous, but does it fall in the category of libel?
Well, and that's what this case is going to be all about. Person does have the ability to sue someone who is in a campaign against them. The bigger question is it a good idea to do so? And how is that going to work out?
What specifically is Issa contending was libelous or slander?
He's going to have to show that the statements that were made were false, and he's going to have to show that they're going to damage him in his occupation, in his business, in his ability to be an effective legislator, to be a member of the House. And those are the 2 critical things. It wasn't true, and it's going to damage him in his business, in his profession. That's the standard for you and me or anyone else. Unfortunately for Darrell Issa, since he's a public figure, there's a higher standard that must be met. In addition to showing the basic falsehood and damage in your occupation, he's going to have to show that those statements were made with actual malice, which means he's going to have to show either the campaign manager or Doug knew these statements were false, or that they simply acted with reckless disregard for the truth. They were so uncareful in their actions that they should have known that these were false.
Now, will this be a jury trial? And when does campaign mudslinging actually cross the line into what I guess now would be considered illegal rhetoric?
Right, and this probably will be a jury trial. And the question of when the mudslinging crosses the line is a tough one in this area, because in our country there's a strong public policy in favor of open and vibrant discourse in political campaigns. And we certainly want people to freely say what they think about the candidates, about the policies, and about our process in general. And if you allow people to successfully sue others for their commentary during this, it's going to stifle the discourse. And we don't want that in our system, which is why there's a high burden to be met here. When does it cross the line? It's going to have to be something that was shocking to the average person, something that's going to subject Darrell Issa to ridicule, to contempt, to hatred or scorn, such that it really will be more difficult for him to do his job, to go meet with the business community, to go meet with other politicians, to be effective if people look at him differently now. They think he's dishonest, they think he's a bad person. It harms him.
You know, they also linked him to Donald Trump and showed all kinds of photos of him in a very unflattering light. But, you know, speaking of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, there was no nastier campaign than that. Does it seem silly to you that a politician would be suing in this way?
I think that it is silly because campaigns tend to be nasty, and more so now than in the past. And I think most of us at home that are watching these things, we discount what we hear to some extent because we know that this is a campaign. We've seen this happen in the past. So I think it is unusual to see this happen. Darrell Issa is one of the richest men in Congress, I think, if not the richest person. You would think he would want to let this news disappear into the past. When you sue someone for libel, you put the very statements that have offended you in front of the press over and over for weeks, for months. And so instead of going away, sometimes it just grows on itself like a cancer. So I'm not sure that this is a good idea. These things typically don't work out when people sue others in connection with political campaigns. We had a nasty episode here in San Diego maybe 30 years ago with Lynn Shank and Susan Golding, where a lawsuit was brought in connection with statements that were made in connection with the campaign for mayor. And that one didn't go well for the plaintiff, as these typically do not. And often these plaintiffs end up wishing that they would have kind of moved on with their business and just let the electorate assume it was the usual mudslinging.
All right, we'll see how it turns out. Attorney John Alspaugh, thank you for being with us.
Happy to be here.
You sure need a thick skin these days to run for any race in politics.
That's a fact.